Hello, June is actually Pride Month. So, like I did for Black History Month and for Native American Heritage Month, I'm gonna do something for Pride Month. So, this video is the history of Pride Month. So, thank you for watching.
June is LGBTQ Pride Month, and cities all over the world are celebrating their true colors with fabulous marches and parades. It's a bold festivity, a way to, for a moment, be an unfiltered, unadulterated version of yourself and put the LGBTQ community on full display.
My first experience with Pride was probably when I was 16 years old back in Buffalo, New York. I was on a float. I just came out as gay at that time, and it was such a celebration. It's just such a monumental time for me. I was just coming into my queerness, just coming into the culture. It was a huge, huge celebration for me.
Many people forget that Pride's inception is directly associated with political unrest and violence against LGBTQ people. Pride is an act of resistance against those same forces that we're still dealing with today, and it's much more necessary than we think.
As a Black man, as a trans person of color in community, Pride definitely means something different for us. We experience racism within the LGBT community. There have been times where, there are Black and brown people who have been deliberately left out of conversations, left out of organizations and safe spaces that were exclusively for white folks.
On June 28, 1969, the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in downtown Manhattan, became the focal point of the queer revolution. During that era, police raiding gay bars and arresting patrons was a routine affair. But on that hot night in June, the queer community fought back, led by trans women like Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, and Miss Major. In 1970, the first Pride event called the Christopher Street Liberation Day March was organized to commemorate the anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion.
So, I didn't realize that about Stonewall Inn is what they mentioned here. I think it's fascinating that that's why Pride Month is actually in June. I always thought it was just because other months were taken by, so like March is Women's Month, and November is Native American Heritage Month, February is Black History Month, May is Mental. So like I always thought it was just more of a lack of space thing, but it's interesting that June actually has significance. So back to the rest of this video.
Let's be clear, this was not a parade as we know today. There was no music, no dancing, no glitter. It was a legitimate risk to walk out and march that night, and it was a sign of resistance.
LGBT pride has evolved over the decades. It's something that started out as a riot. The old saying is that the first Pride parade was a riot. And then we've seen a succession of issues that we've all had to deal with.
By the 80s, most major cities in the US held a Pride March, with the celebration soon spreading to various parts of the globe. But because it was the 80s, the LGBTQ community was marching for a much more somber cause. The HIV/AIDS stigma hit the globe in the 80s, and same-sex marriage, in most recent memory, is what strikes us today. Pride marches around the nation are rooted in serious activism, even if they seem like a giant party.
Right now we have an administration that is dedicated to undoing all the work that we've done to have an equal place in this world. So I think this year Pride isn't just about celebrating, but it's about our resistance. It's about being unapologetic in our pride, in who we love and in who we are. It's about saying no matter how much you try to fight us, no matter how much you try to kill us, that we're here and we're going to continue this fight into the future.
That's what Pride is really about. Not concerts, not partying, not just a month. It's about activism and remembering how much it took to get to where we are today. Because Pride is about human rights.